Hello, everyone. We are so excited that you're here. We're getting a good group, and actually, people are joining. We've got over 20 folks, which is exciting. It's hard to get folks in the summertime. So this month, we are going to host Laura Ash, who is a really wonderful herbalist and entrepreneur, whose work I love very much. And I have taken classes from. I just want to introduce Laura and say that we're all very, very lucky that she is here to teach for us this evening. Laura, would you like to introduce yourself?
Happy to. Thank you so much, Mel. I'm a big fan of your work as well, so it's reciprocal. You do such amazing work with the Eclectic School and your own practice as well. I am Laura Ash. I am a clinical herbalist. I've been doing this herbal medicine for 25 years, which is always shocking when I say that. It means I'm definitely at least in my 40s. And I've been an entrepreneur along the way to support myself to be an herbalist. And one thing I know for sure is entrepreneurship is a disease and there's no herbs to cure it. So if you're in one of those categories as an herbalist or an entrepreneur, and ideally a little bit of both or a lot of both, I'm definitely here to support you. And a big reason why I do what I do is to help herbalists become financially successful, to become successful in their endeavor of exactly what they want to do. And with any business, you got to shift and change and learn and always grow. But having a community and having a really strong foundation is absolutely what I want to be able to do for you all today. I do live in Oakland, California, and I had an herbal apothecary in San Francisco for 10 years. I have an online school. I've had everything from a chai tea company. When I was first going through herb school to put myself through herb school, I had a medicinal chai tea company. I ran an organic spa in Fisherman's Wharf for a couple years, many moons ago. I've done clinical practice. I even had a nonprofit supporting Indigenous people around the world with intellectual property protection. I've done it, almost all of it, and I want to support you and the vision that you have for your life. So we only have an hour together today. And so it's going to be a quick and dirty kind of overview umbrella of business. But my hope is that you get what you need out of it to kind of point you in the right direction a little bit, maybe clarify a few things. And then, of course, you can follow up with me with specific questions. So if that's okay, I'm reading all of the chat. I'm really bad at reading chat as soon as I start lecturing. So I'm looking at all these people from around the country, a lot of people on the West Coast. Hi, California. Hi, West Coast. I'm from Northern California, so I understand that land. But my lineage and my heritage is Swedish and English. So I also do a lot of that lineage work on my own reconnection journey. So aloha from the Big Island. Yay. So here we go. I'm going to start with some slides today. So what I want you to start with is, I know that every class, everyone starts with a journal or some sort of paper to write on. This class is for you. This journey is for you. We're going to do some meditations on making sure your journey is correct for what you want in your life. So get comfortable or comfortably uncomfortable and sit and prepare yourself for a little bit of a journey together. I am so honored to be with you all today. All right, so here we go. Business for herbalists. I run a school called Land of Verse. The name comes from verse, which is oral tradition. Everyone has an oral tradition. Everyone has a lineage, an ancestral lineage, an indigeneity at some point somewhere in the world. And that oral tradition and that lineage needs to continue living on with you. So my school is really about remembering, but I also love modern research and science. So it's really about marrying your remembering of your ancestry with what we understand today as modern research and modern science. Holistic Business Folk, which you see on the left-hand bottom side, is a business group that I've started for people that are interested in learning more about business and being connected to other entrepreneurs. So today, we are going to build a business around your life. We're going to find out who your perfect customer is or client and how to find out who they are, and then what business entity is best for you, and then a Q&A. So I want you to draw on your piece of paper, I want you to draw a ladder with 10 rungs. So You don't have to be super detailed if you want to do a life, like true lifestyle ladder with wood grain and all of that. That's fine. It's not important. But I want you to write three numbers: 10 at the top for the top rung, five in the middle for the fifth rung, and one at the bottom. I know you didn't know you were doing art today, but you are, because running a business is a creative endeavor. It's a baby. It's a new way of being. This is where the meditation comes in. So I'm going to have you lower your gaze, close your eyes, whatever's most comfortable for you, and take a deep breath in, rubbing your hands together, connecting with your chair, wherever you're sitting, connecting with your body, connecting with the space around you, whether you're in an office or a living room, a bedroom, wherever you are, connecting with that space. Taking a deep breath in, relaxing, feeling the gravitational pull towards the core of the earth, feeling heavy in your chair, feeling your body connected to the ground, taking another deep breath in, imagining that energy going down through the lungs with the breath, through the spine, all the way down through the floor, all the way down like a burdock root, like a tap root, going all the way down through the rock, through the underground rivers, through the bones, the dinosaurs. Keep going down, down, down into a dark, cool, safe cave near the core of the earth. And find yourself there. It's a cool cave that you can stand up in and you can look around. And in this cave, you can touch the sides of it, feeling the rock around you. And I want you to start walking. And as you're walking, this cave it turns into a tunnel. And this tunnel goes up a staircase. And walk one step at a time up that staircase, feeling the stone stairs under your feet. Walking, walking closer to the light, getting up closer, closer. Keep walking. And suddenly you go all the way up out of this tunnel, out of this cave, and you look around and you have fast forward 10 years from now. It is 2035. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you wearing? What abundance have you created in your life? Walk around, see where you are. What are you doing for a living? Who has been by your side along the way? What smells are around you? What plants are around you? Take a deep breath in and really take this in to your body. And if you have clarity of what 10 years from now looks like, you can write it down on the top of that rung, on that top of that ladder. And I'll give you a couple minutes to write it down. All right, taking a pause. We can write more later. Closing your eyes again, taking a deep breath. Go back to the entrance of that tunnel. Walk back in there, just to the entrance. And as you're there, life changes. And you come back out of that tunnel and you see yourself 5 years from now in 2030, the halfway point between where you are today and where you got to in 10 years. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you wearing? What smells are around you? What are you doing for a living? What plants are next to you? What decisions are you making that aid in the 10-year vision for your life? And once you have clarity, you can write it down on the fifth rung or near the fifth rung of your vision ladder. All right, one more time. Here we go. You can definitely write more later. As we're walking back to the center of the cave, the entrance of the cave, we sit down and we take a deep breath in, taking in where we want to be and where we will be in 5 years. And we take a deep breath, we close our eyes, and we come back out. And we see ourselves in this world that we've created 1 year from now, 2026, July. 1/10 of the way to our 10-year vision for our life. What decisions and choices have you made in 1 year from now? Who are you with? Where are you? Who's around you? What are you wearing? What smells do you recognize? What are you doing for a living? And when that is clear, you can write it down. All right, now it's time to come back. So walking back towards the entrance of the cave with gratitude. We thank our higher selves, spirit guides, ancestors to share those visions with us. And we walk back down those dark, cool stone steps down, down, down in the tunnel, down into the cave. And we settle ourselves near the core of the earth and we start traveling back up, up through the underground rivers, the bones of our dinosaurs, back up, up through the rocks, the sedimentary and granite, all the way up through the floor, through our chair, back up into the space where we are gathering here today, rubbing our hands together and coming back into this class together. Thank you for doing that with me. I know it's a quick one, but thank you for doing that. The reason why I do that, beginning of this class, is because unless you know where you're going, you will not have clarity, nor will you know what you're building and why you're building it. It is vital for you to have the vision for your life that you love. I didn't have to tell you to envision the life that you want. You did it automatically. I promise every single one of you did not envision a worse life than you have now. It just wouldn't, it doesn't exist in our brains when we think about what we want, right? It's impossible for us to think, oh, that's going to be a terrible thing, so I'm just not going to do anything. We have to work really hard to do that, right? We do that in our short-term life, but not in our long-term vision. We're wired to think things are going to get better, even though we know, of course, there's barriers that are going to come up. We know that. We're human beings. We're healthy skeptics. Herbalists are really good healthy skeptics, hopefully not cynics. So I didn't have to tell you to manifest the beautiful life in 10 years. You did it automatically. Now let's go backwards, which is why we go 10, 5, 1. How do we get that journey to actually be manifested? We set goals, we find community, and we figure it out. So in my experience, there are 4 fundamental ways that people have successful endeavors. You can draw this. There's a lot of creation time for you all today. So hopefully your inner artist is excited. So if you want to draw a triangle, or you can just follow along. So number 1 is passion. And I say this because this is why it's number 1. In order to run a successful business, you have to have passion for business, not just passion. I love art, but I hate doing finances. It's not going to work. I love herbalism, but I don't want to do spreadsheets. It's not going to work. I'm just going to be honest with you. The only people that can only do their passion for their one thing are people that already have wealth. It's just the reality of what running a business is. You have to have passion for business, the actual business side of the business. And if you don't, you should be getting a job somewhere else. I'm totally honest, because it's going to exhaust you and burn you out. And I want to set you up for success. So passion for business, which means you're eager to learn the things you don't know. So the second thing you need are the tools. And these are things you can learn: finances, marketing, strategy, business plans. These are things you can learn. There are books, there's podcasts, there's YouTube channels, there's courses. You can learn those things. Every single person, I promise you, can learn those things. Even if you're not good at it, I promise you, you can learn these things. I teach spreadsheets, fun sheets, I call them, because you can learn how to manage your finances if you've never done it before. I see people do it all the time. So it's about wanting to learn it, which is why the passion for business is number 1. The second is learning the tools, the things that you don't know that you need to know. The third is purpose. And I say this because you're herbalists. I don't know one herbalist that does a business just because they want to make money. It's the wrong choice of career to just make money. I have many other careers I will tell you to go do. But it's because you have your purpose that drives you forward. It's such a beautiful way to create a life. You want to help people. You want to heal people. You want to heal yourself. You want to heal your community. So these are the three outside support systems. And the fourth, which is the most important, is community. These are the people that have your back when things are really hard and give you support, maybe even loan you some extra time or money. These are people that celebrate you when you have a win and say, good job, keep going. These are your customers, these are your clients. These are people, let's say at the bank, that needs to help you open a new account. You will never do this alone. And if you think you're doing it alone, then you need to expand your community. I have advisors. I have never run a business without an advisor. And some of these people are volunteer advisors, but they have determined and dedicated to be my advisors. Find your community. Who are they? When people do this completely on their own, or more importantly, think they're completely on their own, that's when they start spiraling. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't think they think they're unique in that problem. And I promise you, business is not unique. Everyone has the same problem. They have the same problem figuring out finances, figuring out marketing, figuring out how to get clients, figuring out how to manage all the things they have to do with all the hats. So if you have a community of people, even if it's friends and family, or ideally someone that you look up to that's run a business that's similar to what you want to do, and they support you on that journey, you know you're not alone. So I want you to take a moment and write down who your community is, what your purpose is, what tools you feel like you would need to run your business successfully, even if it's just a small private practice. It might be, I need to know how to write an intro email to say thank you to someone who came into my clinic. I need to know how to follow up with people and keep them coming. These are the tools that I want you to figure out. What are the needs and what are the things that I need to learn from others? And do I have a passion for the business side of what I'm doing? Because your purpose is already there. I know you already have it. And your community members are the ones I want you to identify. If you don't have community members, you know immediately that you can put their names down. Write down what their role would be. And that's where that 1 year vision can come in. Maybe that person is the person you're looking for in that 1 year vision that points you towards that 10-year vision. Maybe it's a course you're taking and that teacher becomes one of your advisors. These are the people I want you to consider, or the roles to consider for who those community members are. All right. I promised you that I would go through a target customer and audience. So if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. I'm going to repeat that. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. What I love about herbalists is that you want to heal everyone. I'm not going to stop anyone from coming into my practice. And I think that's a beautiful thing. The problem with that is you are already isolating people because you're an herbalist. You're already telling certain people that don't love herbalism that they are not welcome in your clinical setting. You probably don't want someone that's going to debate with you about herbalism all day long anyway in your clinical setting. So you're already in a niche. So what I want you to think about and take this moment to journal is who your person that you want to come in to either buy your product if you're a product person, if you're teaching classes, who are your students, or if you have a private practice, who are your clients. Now take a moment and think, if you already have a customer, a student, or a client, who is your favorite one of those, meaning that they pay you the most money and you like them? They have to be both, because they can't pay you the most, but you hate them or really dislike the way that they act in a class setting, or treat you, or want refunds about everything. No, that is not your target customer. But I want you to give this person a name. And if it's a real person that you have, write their name. And if it's a made up person that you think that you want, make up a name. And then I want you to put 2 columns of demographics and psychographics here. I want you to write down their age, their occupation, their sex, their gender, they are potentially not the same, their zip code, income, ethnicity, pence, rent or own home, and filling that out. Every company knows exactly who they're. I use this example because it's an easy one to understand. Most people on the store anthropology, they've seen it, they've probably gone in there, they've either shopped there or not, but they know it exists, right? Anthropologie's perfect customer, we'll call her Sarah. Sarah's 30. She's single. She rents her home, but she lives in the suburbs. She has a dog, but she likes to travel. She's spiritual, but not religious. She believes in eco friendly products. She subscribes to the New York Times. She's liberal. She votes blue. She makes between $80,000 and $100,000 a year. She for design. She likes to travel to a lot of spiritual communities, and she sees herself as a global citizen. She is partnered. She's straight, and she likes feeling feminine. She has red hair. That's extremely specific. Now, did they say that if you are not Sarah, you cannot come and shop in their store? Is there a sign on the outside that says, if you're not Sarah, if you're not falling into these categories, you cannot shop here? Of course not. But what it does is it funnels their every single design choice, purchasing choice, even the setup of the store for her, what she would like. And it works. Every single company I've worked with, many brand specialists do this, not just for their whole business, but also for businesses within, different parts. For example, Sarah is the big umbrella of Anthropologie, but then they have different seasonal parts of their business that's for a different type of person, but Sarah is still the main customer, right? And so what it does, it clarifies the font choices that you use, the colors you use, the images, the logos, even choice of words. What if Sarah was really kind of quirky? You know how the Oatly, most people know Oatly, it's quirky. It has like these like funny things, idioms and things on the sides of their packaging. That is for a very specific target demographic versus something that's very classic and antique and has old English. And that's for a very specific demographic too. The psychographics in this person are really important as well, because if you're marketing to someone, for example, that is an independent and votes green, you can find out that data. Actually, it's public. The people's voting, like you can see different voting places of how many people are in there. You could potentially set up a class there or target on social media or even send out mailers if you want to go old school to people's mailboxes if that's your target customer. This helps you also find out where your people are, where they live, or where they hang out on different areas. For example, if they are all New York Times readers, you might want to think about targeting people that read the New York Times. Or if you had the money, take on ad at New York Times, right? This is what people do all day long. And this is actually giving you a lot more information, even how to present yourself, right? If your people are radical and of the earth and are anti-capitalist and hate everything about modern life, then you might not want to target them on social media. But you might not want to target them on social media. You might want to be going to the conferences and the areas they hang out and teach classes at those conferences and be really one-on-one with those folks. That's why you need to know who your people are and who you love serving and why they're hanging out with you. Where do they hang out? How can I present myself in those communities in their most authentic place that they already trust and they already connect with? So I want you to think about this a lot and think about you also being a target audience of someone else. I use this example of a candle. Every single person I teach has some candle near them. And if you pick up your candle or think about the candle you like, someone thought of you, that company thought of you when they made that candle. They chose the scent or the no scent. If you're a no scent person, they chose the type of wax. They chose the packaging or no packaging. They chose the label or no label. They chose the price point because of you. You are their customer. Or let's say someone gifted this to you. That person knew you were that type of person, right? You were already being thought of all day long. One good example is the bulk section of a natural food store, right? The no branding. No branding is for the people that don't like brands, like you, right? Every single consumer product, every single service is targeted for people that want or don't want something. Knowing that everybody does this, no matter if they're Dr. Bronner's or a psychotherapist, is an important piece because what I want you to get out of this in this exhaustive, semi exhaustive target audience conversation is that if you find the right people, you will thrive and they will too because they're looking for you. They want you. I want you to find the people that want what you do. And that exchange is really vital and really essential. Because when you find your people and they find you, it's beautiful. There's money, there's connections, there's a lot of purpose. I want to make sure there's plenty of time for Q&A. So I'm going to continue on. There were questions that I was sent ahead of time about legalities and compliance. So I'm going to go through these quickly. You're going to get these slides. Okay. So this is not an exhaustive slide. APA, American Herbal Products. This is, let's say, for example, you are interested in running a tincture line. In order to do that, you have to be GMP or General Manufacturing Practices compliant. They have a 115-page booklet that I put right here for you. I'm not going to go through it today, but I want you, if you're interested in products like tinctures, you will need to go through certain facilities and have certain compliance to do that. That's the link there. The next one is if you're based in California, you want to do things like teas, for example. You can do a cottage food operation license and sell them at farmers markets and get the support you need with packaging, labels, even wholesale those products to other stores. That's your link right there for cottage food operation in California. I cannot speak to other states because I don't know if they exist. But if you are living in another state and you're looking for something like that, which means you don't have to rent a commercial kitchen, you can do it in your home. That's what that means. You can look this up and see if there's something similar in your state. The next link is alternative practitioner insurance. A lot of people ask for insurance. This is the only one that I found that actually covers you for the year as an herbalist and as an alternative practitioner, that you can get templates and different paperwork to send to your client that allows you to sit within your legal scope of practice. We have a lot of that through programs like AHG and as well as probably your school to be able to within our scope practice legally, and then it's state by state also. This is a really helpful barrier as well as legal language that you can use with your clients if you're interested. I think it's less than $300 a year. So if that's something you're interested in as a practitioner, this is the one that I found, and I would love other people, if you found other ones, to send them over to me anytime. Two labeling requirement questions that I want to go over. Again, I'm not opening these links because they're a lot, but this dietary supplements link, if you are labeling a product as a dietary supplement, meaning you're not manufacturing it because it's manufactured third party at some facility, but you're getting it and labeling it for sale, let's say a tincture, supplements, this is the legal requirements for dietary supplements. You can click on that. It's an FDA regulation. GMP compliant label. And then herbal tea is a bigger gray zone. A lot of people create it as a cottage food, they create it in their commercial kitchens. This gives the full legal requirements to run an herbal tea or a tea line. And that is the link specifically for that. And we can do Q&A specifics afterwards. But I'm just wanting to let you know these are all there for you afterwards. All right. After this, we'll do Q&A. So what entity do you create if you want to start a business? Great question. Sole proprietorship. This is something, if you're making money from anyone, you're already a sole prop. Okay. That means your social security number is your EIN, your actual number for a business. Unless you want a different business name. For example, Laura Ash is my name. If someone writes me a check or sends me money under Laura Ash, I can now file as a sole proprietor. I do not have to actually legally file that. Isn't that interesting? So I can be a sole proprietor. But if I want a different DBA, doing business as, I want to say I'm Laura Ash, DBA, herbs are everything. Then people write me checks for herbs or everything, and I have an herbs or everything company. I do need to file that. And I do need to get a DBA, and that's state by state and county by county. So that's based on your county. If I want a wholesale license to buy herbs at half the price, they are usually half the price, by the way, unless you're Mountain Rose Herbs, then I think they give you 25% off. But a wholesale, which means I do not pay taxes on those ingredients and I will resell them, you do need to file a sole proprietor business. It's just a business license. It's usually $25. And then you apply for a resale license, which is not an actual physical license, it's just a number. And then anytime you apply for wholesale with any company, you give them that number and they say, this is my business, and it's done. In order for you to get a wholesale license, you will need to sign up for that resale license through your state, and then you will need to pay state taxes after that. That's the passion for business side of things, is that you have to pay state taxes if you sell products. And if you get that wholesale license, they know that you are buying product to resell. And some employees can happen under sole proprietor. I usually recommend, if you're getting any employees, going down to the next tier, which is LLC, or limited liability corporation. What that means is that, let's say, for example, someone sues you and they cannot sue you for if you own a house or if you own a car or if you have a certain amount of money in your bank account or if you have a trust from your family or you're going to inheritance, whatever that is. They cannot sue you for that. They can only sue you for what the business assets are, which means you have to be really clear what the business assets are and what's not the business assets. Mainly have a different bank account. Okay. I'm talking to solopreneurs, so I understand where all your, sometimes your money goes all into one bucket. It needs to be separate. An LLC is usually what's recommended because once you become more risky, you're working with clients, you start selling products outside of your home to people you've never met before. It builds more risk. And therefore, let's say they took a product and something went awry and they say, I got sick on your product and you can't prove that it wasn't your product, they could sue you, technically. That's where an LLC really shines. The problems with LLC is that it's expensive. It's $800 a year to keep that protection. It also is, same with sole proprietorship, a pass-through entity. What that means is all the income that comes into the company, all the profits, you have to put on your income tax. So that could be beneficial and challenging. Challenging means you roll a lot of tax if you're making good money. Beneficial means it looks like you're making a lot of money, so therefore you can actually buy things like houses and cars and things like that, if that's what you want. Or land for your community that you're going to build, because I know a lot of you want to build beautiful communities and have healing gardens. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see it. So it's a pass-through entity, which means you're taxed as an income individual. The next one is an S Corp, and this is still an LLC. So an S Corp is just a new tax structure under an LLC. You're still an LLC. But what it is, it saves you taxes, saves you money on taxes if you make over $150,000 a year in profit. That's it. So let's say you're making 80,000. So you next year you make 90, and the next year you make 150. Usually your accountant will say, let's file you as an S Corp. You keep your LLC, you file as an S Corp. You're allowed to get investors in an S Corp, only domestic. So that's also a change that I've seen people do when they grow their businesses if they want investors. The last one, and that's still a pass-through entity, okay, which means the income profits are going on your income tax. The last one is a C Corp, and a C Corp is big corporation. These are people that want international investors. You own a portion of the company, you own shares, you will allot shares for people. This is big companies wanting investors that want a portion of the business. This is not a passive entity. So you are paid what you're paid, you pay your income tax on that. And if you get any dividends, which means additional money every month, every year, like a bonus, that also gets taxed. But the company, the actual corporation, pays its own tax as well. So that if they call it double tax, for the owner, it's double tax, but that's how it's structured differently. And this saves investors money essentially because they don't pay for the value of that investment till much later. This is a quick and dirty, as I said, overview, but hopefully gives you an idea of how to start your business. I recommend start a sole prop, see if it works. It's cheap. If it continues to work, go to an LLC. You'll have more money anyway by then to actually pay for that. And then from there, you build on top of that. You might hang out with S Corp for the rest of your life. You might not ever need to build a C Corp. And then the entity I did not put here, which is a nonprofit, which is really a C Corp, a corporation that files and gets awarded a nonprofit status by the government. And that they don't pay, they do pay income tax as the salaries, anyone that gets a salary from a nonprofit, but the company itself does not have any profit. Therefore, they keep it in the company and they don't pay any tax at all. And that is everything that I have for you outside of Q&A. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Here's my information. You can find me at lauralandaverse.com, also landaverse.com. And then I have a holistic business folk group relaunching next month. So I'm going to stop sharing now. All right, good. I wanted 15 minutes of Q&A. That's great.
You were very good with time. I remember that from the holistic business folk.
Thank you. Thank
hmm
you.
Before we
All
jump into
right.
Q&A, I did just want to say that for those of you that are working through starting a business, I did go through, well, most of the holistic business folk that Laura hosts, and it is really fantastic and incredibly helpful. So if you need more help, of course, this like Laura said, this is quick and dirty. She focused on some of the the beginning things, but if you want to dive more deeply, it's a really lovely community, not just a class.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Mel.
Yeah.
I'm now just looking at chats. I told you I see nothing when I'm teaching in chat, truly, especially because I use Canva for my slides, so it takes up my whole screen. But it looks like a lot of people had their questions answered. I'm curious if there were any large questions in the community that a lot of people had the same question. Looks like there's one new question. Okay, Mel, you had a question, or someone had a question about benefits, pitfalls of having a local business license. A local business license is the same as any other business license. It's a sole proprietor business license. So you would have to go through your city hall to get a business license. And that, again, in California, it's $25, or at least in the Bay Area. But go to your city hall and say, can I apply for a business license? It's very simple. It's very cheap. And again, until you're a DBA or you want a different business name outside of your own name, it's cheap. Um, if you're already taking money from people, you're already a sole proprietor. You can already write off expenses, including your tuition, including books, if you have an herbal type business. If you want, again, a wholesale account to buy things wholesale, which you will resell for a profit, that's when you need for sure a business license, and you will need a state resale license to be able to pay your state taxes every month. Hopefully that's helpful. Maria is asking, do you have a suggested advertising budget to start? Oh, geez, no. It, I'm going to answer this when it comes to your target customer. Until you know your target customer and where you want to advertise, it's really hard to put a budget together because sometimes that's your time. It's not necessarily cash, and that always costs something. It's like signing up for being a teacher at a conference, for example, right? Or it's giving someone free products to try your stuff. So marketing is unique to each community and each individual. There's a rule of thumb in marketing that's, 15% of your revenue goes to marketing, but that's when you're making money. That's when you're making real money. So if you're just starting out, then make sure you figure out what works first. And there's this concept called the lean startup model. So feel free to look it up. It's all about testing. Test, test, test. Any business that's gone through any journey, it tests their market. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on anywhere. You test it, they call it A/B testing. They test one, they test another. Which one does better? They put more money behind it. You can test an ad for $5, truly, and see how many people looked at it versus another one for $5. You can do these things cheaply. And I would highly recommend putting out what they call a minimum viable product, an MVP. If you do any business reading, they talk about MVPs just to see if it works, even if it's not perfect. See, like, I'm going to start this at a lower price point. I'm just going to see if I have a certain amount of customers. And the only way you're going to know it works, and I mean this with all seriousness and without love, is if your friends and family are not the only ones buying it. If you see your friends and family buy it, it is not a good sign until you see people you've never met that find you randomly, that found somehow your website or your social or whatever come to you. That means you're doing something right. There's a need that you're filling in the world. The only successful businesses are actually solving problems. With your target audience, what problems do they have and how are you solving them? And if you're solving them and you know what problems they have, then you have something that they need and they want, and therefore you have a viable business. So if you're a clinical herbalist, do they want an herbalist? Do they want education? How are they finding you? Where are they hanging out? I love the farmers market for this reason, because your target audience loves farmers and loves hanging out at farmers markets. And I've seen really successful people set up little booths of like their teas or tinctures or whatever they're making from home. And then they talk to people and people ask them questions, right? Where are your people? And where that marketing budget fits or where that specific testing is happening, you get to determine that. I wish I could create self-confidence for each and every one of you to actually do all the testing you need to do. That's a big piece of it. It's finding the confidence to try it out and have it not work and then try something new. That it's not personal. It's just the name of the game. So if you can see business more as a game, and as a game, as in things are moving constantly here and there, it might take that I'm a failure and it's not going to work because I'm a terrible person out of the picture, and more of a I'm going to figure this out and this is the journey of a successful business. I want that for all of you because I know for a fact I honestly want herbalists to be the millionaires in the world, because this world would be a much better place for every single person on the planet, because there'd be conservation efforts, everyone would access to integrative medicine, it would be amazing, right? And therefore, this idea that people aren't going to pay for it, this idea that people don't want this, we have to change that narrative, because I will tell you for a fact that most people do not know what we do at all. And a lot of it they want. They just don't know it yet because they've never actually been introduced to it. And so the more of us that get out there and introduce people, the more people will be comfortable with this. There's room for everyone. We actually need everyone to build everyone up. And the more herbalists there are in the world, the better we all do, truly. Google Analytics, if you make a little Google ad. Yes, thank you, Gabriel, for sharing that. That's exactly right. So if you make an ad anywhere, you can see the analytics of how they do and how many people are viewing it and clicking it. Really, they want to click. Clicking is the biggest piece. You'll see that a win. If you put a social post up there and you see 100 likes, but no shares or no saves or no sends, you're actually not, you're just entertaining people. It's false dopamine. But if you see people sharing it, if you see people sending it, if you see people, clicking on it, now you have something that people are willing to put action behind. And so I want you to think about that in outside of social as well as what are people willing to say yes to? I'm going to sign up for that and pay for it, ideally. Give you actual money, which means time, right? Our most valuable resource is time. So I want them to have money and time in your world. Um, Recommend any websites to learn new business tools. You can come to my website. It is a membership fee to get the business tools, but there's so many good business websites out there. I would just Google it, honestly. A lot of them, I'm just going to be honest, are not positioned well for small businesses. They're positioned for startups and startup culture and Silicon Valley culture, and all the words I'm giving to you are actually very startup culture-y. But I've run small businesses the majority of my life. And what I found is that what they call the stealth mode, which is slow and organic and sustainable, is actually more appropriate for people building long lasting businesses. Unless you want to invest and exit in 3 years, you really want to build something that's beautiful and really grounded, right? And again, that 10-year vision, what does that vision look like? That is a journey to get there, but people succeed in there. And one of my business advisors, what she said to me was really good because I had to shut down my herbal apothecary a year and a half ago. She's like, with everything you learned in 3 years, it's going to make so much sense. You're going to be so much more successful. And I was thinking at the time, oh, 3 years is so long away. And now it's been a year and a half, and I'm like, oh my God, I know what she's talking about now. It does take time. It does take time to integrate different lessons and to shift a career and do something new. It doesn't have to take 10 years, but it does take time. And I think to create sustainability in your finances as well as your product offerings, it's going to take a little bit of time. I know we have 5 minutes. So, what would it do if it's not just you failed financially, but someone actually got hurt and have negative side effects? How can you help them and fix it? Caroline, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. If you're meaning a customer or a family member, so it's going to be hard for me to answer that question. And I would say it's probably their job to try to figure it out. That's a tough one. I don't know. It seems that I'm the perfect customer because I love herbs. Could that work when I AD the target? Yes, that's a really good question, Caroline. So most people's target audience is themselves. What I would encourage people to do is go a little bit outside of themselves because unless you buy exactly the same thing that you are giving, and this is a really good self-reflective practice, unless you're seeing a practitioner and paying their full rate all the time, you might not be their perfect customer, right? Unless you're buying those products that you see that you're selling at that $50 price point and $30 price point or whatever price point you have, unless you're buying them yourself regularly, you might not be your ideal customer. Your lifestyle or your values might be exactly the same, and that's extremely common. That's the most common. Values are embedded, right? People that care about climate change and biodiversity and connection and empathy and deep seated wisdom, lineages, etc. That's essential. Making sure you don't get caught in the just because I don't like it, someone else isn't going to like it idea. But the way that you can test your perfect customer is start asking people, would you buy this product? Are you interested in this product? Get feedback. What do you like about this? What do you not like about it? Have people be honest. I want to hear everything about packaging, about bottles, about labels, about the way you're wording things. I want everything because what you need is something that will sell really well, or your services. Is there anything I could have done better? Would you recommended me to someone else if I would have done something different? That feedback is literal gold for everyone because unless we have customers, we don't have a business. So we have to kind of suck up our pride sometimes and listen to what people have to share. A client. Oh, okay. So if a client actually got hurt by your product, Caroline, is that correct? That's where an LLC really comes in. Yeah. And so this is the thing. If you have trust with someone, you could probably go directly to them and say, how can I help? Can I pay your medical bills? Can I support you with this? If you don't have trust with someone, then they will probably take it to court or they could take it to court. And that's where an LLC, if you're seeing clients and you're giving herbs that you know are not just nettles and red raspberry leaf, but could have negative side effects like blue flag or aconite or poke or even high doses of blue vervain or can be intense. Lobelia, for example. I had a customer drinking blue flag tea and telling me and called the FBI because he thought someone tainted it with poison. And I had to take blue flag off of our shelves because it will be an emetic in high doses. And he was drinking a high dose tea. And someone walks out of the store, we don't know what they're using it for, how dosage, no matter how much you're telling them to use it for. So once you start using herbs and plants with people that you know could be misused or do have negative side effects at high doses, I want you to be very careful with that person. And really, if you feel off about that person for any reason, do not give them anything other than nettles, please. It's true. It's you have to trust your intuition on this and really support yourself. And always when a client comes in and say, if you ever have any negative side effects, stop taking immediately and call me. You probably already know this, but it's insurance that will help. Yes, exactly. And the disclaimer, right? When I have any client that comes in, I have them sign a disclaimer. And those agreements are on those disclaimers of I'm giving you what you need. Take the dosage based on what I recommend. And if anything happens, please stop taking it immediately. Yeah, really good question, Caroline. Yeah. We have 1 minute. Any more questions that I can answer today? I went through a lot today. So thank you for an hour. I usually my business classes are 5 hours. So this is a big thing. Safe starts for herbal products. That will really be based on the school of thought that you're in. If you're studying TCM, Ayurveda, Western herbalism, North American diaspora medicine, whatever that is for you, you're going to have to work with your teachers on that. Yeah, that's based on your education for sure. Generally, those herbs are called tonics, but the one thing about herbalism is that you just can't go outside of your scope of practice. If you were not trained in certain things, then do not use those things. If you can't and you shouldn't. And that's just a really important, you can grow your business along your education journey. That's okay. You're absolutely allowed to do that. But if you're a beginning herbalist, use external plants, use safe ones, use things like calendula and olive oil and grow from there and learn the journey of business, learn the journey of products. And then once things start going internally, that's when things become significantly more at risk. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you
I
so
hope you
much,
all the best.
Laura.
Thank you,
That was
Mel.
really wonderful. We were so happy to have you. We had an amazing turnout. Thank you all for coming. And Tiffany will email you Laura's info about holistic business folk and land averse and the date for our next free class. I don't even actually remember. Tiffany, what's the topic next month? Do we have one?
Be
Think,
determined.
well, we will email that out as well in the next day or so. So thank you. Thank you. Everyone have a great evening wherever you are.
Thank you all. Thank you
Bye-bye.
all.
Mhm.
Bye bye. Thank you. Take care.